Today we're going to be reviewing 2232, the first push from the Spectrum Dispatch. The Artemis was the manifestation of a dream. When the announcement came out that a vessel was being constructed for a push to the nearest potential habitable planet, the public flipped. Alien worlds and first contact was no longer the province of sci-fi. It was becoming a tantalizing reality. The ship would be fitted with stasis couches, known as boots, terraforming equipment and supplies, and an AI core at the helm. Maximum capacity, 5,000. A call went out for volunteers. No one downplayed the risks, of which there were many. On a slow burn with the latest engines, the Artemis would take over 200 years to reach its destination. A lot can happen in that time. Regardless, there were over 1 million volunteers. Committees filtered the list down, trying to balance the best combination of skills, trades, and disciplines. The following were excerpts from Chariot to the Stars, the official companion piece to the launch, based on the compiled flight logs, personal journals, and witness accounts of the Artemis and its launch. Timestamp launch: 0 days, 14 hours, 38 minutes, and 13 seconds away. On the eve of the Artemis launch, Captain Lisa Danvers was checking circuit boards underneath the comm station on the bridge for the third time. Arthur Kinlow Engineering sat on the arm of the captain's chair. He'd given up trying to figure out what she was looking for. Lisa always had an issue with big ships. Sure, she'd flown transport ships before, but this was different. There were 1,000 things that could go wrong, which could, in turn, affect 1 million functions. It was maddening. She probably screwed herself by even starting down this path.
"Are you sure I can assist you, Captain?"
A disembodied voice said, murmuring from dozens of hidden speakers throughout the ship. It was the AI, helpful as always. "No, I'm okay," she said. Kinlow mouthed along with the words of what was clearly a familiar exchange. Lisa couldn't see anything wrong, out of place, or suspect in the myriad of circuit boards. She hated pre-flight anxiety. No matter what she did, it always hit her bad. So she made an executive decision. She cut herself off and replaced the panel. Kinlow perked up.
"You good?"
"Yeah, I think so. Hey, Janice,"
"Yes, Captain."
the disembodied voice replied. "Generate another set of contingency actions for the stasis boots."
"Do you have any specific parameters?"
"No, use your imagination."
"That is a concept of which I only have external understanding."
"Outside the box. Something that we haven't thought of."
"I will try, Captain."
That night, Janice the AI core tried to imagine. Timestamp launch: 0 days, 0 hours, 4 minutes, 21 seconds. The next morning, the world waited. The volunteer population was waiting on the orbital platform. The engineers felt it would be easier that way, save themselves the trouble of having to build launch seating for 5,000 if they didn't have to. So they had been ferried up there in groups over the past few weeks. Today was the launch of the Artemis itself. Danvers and her core crew would take her up, then dock with the platform to pick up the civilians and any last-minute supplies. News orgs from around the world were gathered, ready to capture the moment in every conceivable format and put it on anything with a screen. Lisa was already strapped in, the nerves and jitters from the past few days melting away with each passing moment. She stared at the main projection screen displaying the front view of the ship. Right now, it was just a sealed launch tube. She thought about what would lay beyond it, the sky that she loved. It was waiting for her to come back. Danvers glided through her pre-flight checks. She was thorough and professional, but couldn't get through them fast enough. Crew departments checked in. It was green across the board. A final check-in with flight control, and they were set. It was time. Klaxons outside the ship began beeping. The massive metal gate of the flight tube unlocked with heavy thuds.
"Captain Danvers, shall I assume launch control?"
Janice said. "No, I got it."
"Are you sure, Captain?"
"I'm sure." The gate started to move.
"But, Captain, I have a .002 error going to..."
"Just show me that sky. I'll get us there." 9 days, 5 hours, 12 minutes, and 57 seconds after launch, Janice assumed control and circle for a week once the crew and civilians had entered stasis to check for any errors or anomalies. Effectively, a dry run of how the ship would run once it started its push. If there were any problems, Flight Control could abort and even remotely pilot the Artemis back if need be. Flight Control finished a final assessment of checks. Everything looked good. Justin Cobb, the mission director, looked over the bays of technicians and scientists and analysts. Everyone good? Everyone nodded. This is our last chance. If anybody's got the slightest hesitation or concern, I don't care how it'll sound or how the people upstairs will flip, you better voice it. Cobb gave a few moments, then nodded to establish contact with the Artemis.
Good afternoon.
How are you, Janice?
I have been running simulations, continuous scenarios. Example include random power fluctuation, impact with foreign body, contact with new uncategorized gas or element, contact with hostile organism, etc.
Any conclusions?
I think will be satisfactory.
Cobb glanced at the nearest tech, slightly confused by the AI's language. You think?
I imagine we will be fine, Mr. Cobb.
22 minutes later, the Artemis blasted its thrusters, starting a full burn for a scheduled 70 minutes. It passed the edge of the solar system, into the great sea of space beyond, into the silent black that surrounds us. And so we wait, dreaming of things that they will find, hoping that one day we will hear back from the brave men and women who boarded the Artemis, the chariot of the stars, and struck out as the first ambassadors of this united Earth. Next time, when we review the history of the Spectrum Dispatch, we'll be looking at 2262, the Nesso Triangle.